Hey guys, welcome back to Connect with Jonathan Mark. We heard you loud and clear, like I said, for season 2. And this episode, we will be doing true crime. I'm very excited and also very nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. But what's interesting is a fan reached out, a listener reached out and wanted my help with their unsolved case. I really do believe I helped them turn a corner, but you're going to have to wait to hear it. Now, to protect the victim and to protect the victim's family and the integrity of the case, we are going to be censoring out names, and this is the sound you will hear. So when I go into these readings, I go into them very cold. I don't know anything. I just jump right into it. And then Sabrina is going to be sticking around after I give the reading to tell you about if I was right, if I was wrong, if it's helpful. And if you want to be helpful, Sabrina's going to be letting you know where you can contact to give any tips. Now, if you want to be the next person up here with an unsolved case or anything, all you have to do is just follow my Instagram at Jonathan Mark Medium and send me a DM. It's that easy, I promise you. All right, guys, let's jump right into the reading. Okay, I see. All right, so the name that I see is Matthew. So I want to get into some stuff that I see just because I saw this before when typically when I do readings, I get messages before or things before. So I just want to preface when I always validate stuff before when I see it. When they typically put a box in front of me, I know it's going to sound silly and stupid. Trust me, it's just a symbol that I do. Typically what it means from what I can see is someone that is within. When I say close to someone, it could be a significant other. It could be someone that they're friends with. It's someone that in their everyday life, they know. It's not like, there's a difference when I do this stuff where I want to say random, I guess is the best way I can put it, versus like a premeditated type of situation. They're very different. So this is also very interesting too, because when you brought up before about the confession and the person being let off, what he's kind of showing to me is, and I want to be honest with you wholeheartedly, from what I'm seeing, it seems like when a certain type of death happens in an unsolved or anything, sometimes officers or detectives it's easier to have it either be unsolved, call it a suicide, call it this, right? It's just easier. What it looks to me that it's like a fight that goes wrong. It's like when you have a disagreement with someone that goes completely wrong, because he keeps going like this to me, like he's clashing, but he's saying it should never escalated to obviously what had happened. But what he's also kind of explaining to me too at the same time is that, and this is where I'm like kind of getting confused as well, is this person seems to have been very close to them, or this person knew of him, pretty familiar with him. Also, what he's saying to me is when he's swaying balloons back and forth, it's a symbol for me and a sign. Typically what it means is the day that this had happened, the murder or whatever had, happened, circulates around a major date within your family. Like there was like this happened and then there was a major date, whether it was he had a, when I'm saying he had his birthday or a family member's birthday or something that's major, it's not such a small, it's not like he was going to get coffee with someone. It's something fairly major. What he's also kind of showing to me too, there's two things I want to say. One, he's thanking you for doing this because there's not really too much exposure on his case. He's showing to me it's a pretty, it seems like they're trying to shelf it, if I'm being quite honest with you. The thing that I'm also interested about, which I want to talk to you about, is you guys know the person too, it seems. Like you guys are aware of the person. Like this isn't also a random person to his family or to your family. This seems to be, it seems to be pretty serious. Also too, I do have a question with him. Did the person who confessed or whoever, do they go by like a nickname? Not necessarily like my name's Jonathan, like a John or Sabrina. Do they go by like a nickname or like a different name? Do you know?
Not that I know of.
Then who's the J name? Because they're pointing at me. It's not the person that confessed. It's someone that would know more information. I don't go towards that just because if they let him go, that doesn't help you or help anyone. It just doesn't.
There are rumors that there was a guy named there who was involved in it.
Because he keeps underlining the J name, just so you know. And he keeps saying this person is a I just want to tell you, this person is like heavily, whether they're heavily involved or they know so much about the case that it could really like solve or close a case. Because he keeps saying that, and this is where I'm confused about as well too, because he keeps saying they overlooked this person. They just overlooked him. It's like whether someone got questioned and he answered the bare minimum and they were like, all right, whatever, like he's cleared, he's good. He keeps telling me to tell you that you need to circle back to this person. Like that's his whole message with this, is that it's kind of like if you have a knee problem or a leg problem and your knee is so messed up, but it's really your calf or it's really your thigh, but they're so focused on the knee that they neglect like the two major things. That's what he's basically referencing to me about. What he's also saying to me too is, and this is also something interesting is, and I'm not discrediting law enforcement. This has nothing to do with them. This has more to do with the pace of how they closed this case. This seems like the pace was just like a fairly fast pace situation with it. What he's also saying to me too, just so like, and again, this is just like, I want to be as honest as possible with you with everything with this. Did you know it was like premeditated? Like, do you have like, I'm assuming you know like a lot about the case, but do you know like things like leading up to it? If I was to talk about it a little bit into detail?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the people who he was hanging out with were not like fantastic people?
Yeah.
Because that's what he keeps referencing without me like getting into too much detail about that. Because what he's saying is, and he has a good personality to him too. He's a very sweet person. He just keeps using the term wrong place, wrong time. It's really what he keeps saying to me. And he's saying to me like also that, because he's smiling at this, he keeps saying to me, you have to be careful with who you're friends with, is what he keeps saying. Like, be careful with who you're friends with. Like don't surround yourself with, because he thought that these people, I don't know if he thought that they were going to protect him or they were just friends of his or they were people. Because the way that he keeps explaining it to me is his guard was fairly down, is what he keeps saying. And it was a protect situation. It's like when someone attacks you, you have to protect yourself. And that's what he keeps saying to me. But he keeps saying the fact that everyone is overlooking this J name is a huge, huge problem. And he's saying that it will give clarity and answer to everyone. And also, he keeps laughing at this. He keeps saying, continue to be annoying to the detectives, because he's saying that they moved on so fast. And he's saying that you like are doing, and I know this is like a silly thing to say, but you really are doing like God's work for him, because he's saying you're trying to give justification to his name. And what he's smiling about too is that he's got an army of people. I guess you and your family have it. You guys are not quitters in this at all, which coming from me, that's amazing. Like I've seen too many times where families like feel like their back's against the wall. It's a little hard for them to actually like, I think, continue. It's just difficult and it's hard. But the main point of this is when I do these like readings and help with these cases, it is always to point you in one significant direction. And that's the significant direction is the J name. Because what he's smiling at too, and this is what's interesting too, because he has a personality on him. He's definitely a sarcastic guy. He's definitely quite sarcastic, just a little bit. But he keeps showing to me that the confession was like half-assed, is what he's saying. That's why it was taken seriously until it wasn't taken seriously, because he's saying his story's changed multiple times, is what he keeps showing to me. He's saying nothing was quite consistent with how he was explaining stuff, but there was key points in that confession though, as much as like this person, because what he keeps saying is this person did it of guilt. There was no other reason why, as far as like their conscience, like coming forward, but like it had no other reason. Because what he's saying is this person was a very important person to him. Like it seems like a very important person to him, because he's saying that I mean, I'm sure like people can relate to this to some degree. It's like when you lie about something, even if it's something so stupid, sometimes your mind, you're like, I have to say something. Like I can't not say something. What he's also saying too is, and he's laughing at this, so I have to tell you this as well too. To the person who confessed, do not even speak to them. I know you, he keeps laughing, saying you and your family have every ounce of you that want to go over there and speak to him. Don't do it. He's telling me to tell you because he's saying he wants you to focus on the and what he's also saying too, which is interesting, is, and he keeps repeating this to me, he's apologizing for surrounding himself with people that he knew that weren't the most upstanding citizens of society. And he's laughing at this because he's saying that like, he's also like, I have to say, he likes to have fun. I don't know if he liked to party a little bit and things like that, because he's saying that he's back to himself doing this. Like he needs to, like, that's something that's so important to him, is that he has that party side of him. But I would love to have you guys come back on like later on if you guys pursue the name. But like, I have to say to you, do I think that he did it? I don't know. Do I think he has a lot of information? The answer to that is yes. I don't know if he's the one who did it. I just think he knows a little bit more than he's shedding. And like, and this is the beautiful part about this podcast and just like in general, is that it can bring awareness to cases where people feel like they have to say something, like whether it's something small. But he is coming through, and he is also saying to me too, which I want to ask you, I don't know if someone in your family, like around his passing or after his passing, extended their family. I don't know if there was like people that were pregnant. I don't know if there was people that were, you know, having babies or a new relationship of like sorts, because he keeps saying to me that don't think he's not a part of that process, because he's saying he was, I have to say, he's a family man. He's not someone that is just like, you know, in and out is the best way I can explain it. He's someone who's a family person through and through from what I can see. And he's saying, don't think he's not a part of the process with this family. And he's also laughing too, saying that you guys have to, you know, when you guys go after, like maybe investigate, or because he's saying, and I want to clarify for what he's saying about the J name and all that stuff and what to do, because he's saying to hire someone or to have someone professional do it, because he's saying that you're dealing with people that are not great people, is what he's saying. Like you're dealing with people that, like, from what I can see, there's people in jail that he knows as well too. So like before he passed, or people that were in jail. Like he's saying that these people were not good people, but he's also saying that this J name person kind of like facilitates and runs a lot of things. Like this person is you ever hear the terms like a chess player? They like make the moves, but maybe like, or like that's what he keeps referring about this J name. So he keeps saying like, that's how you're going to get your information. And what he's also saying too is, and I want to like clarify this as well, is do it properly and safely. And he's smiling, saying like, don't go wring the detectives' necks and stuff, because he's saying you guys are at that point of like wringing their necks. Don't do it. He's saying don't do it, because, you know, he's saying that it really can be a very tough process. But I just want to thank you for letting me, you know, do this reading and bring this to light. I want to hear about this. I knew nothing going into it, so I kind of want to hear it a little bit. And like, again, I also want to preface as well too, it's not important to me to bring up someone who did a false confession. It's important to me to go down a different avenue. That's old news to me, I feel like, just like when I do cases, like that's all news to me. Can you share the story? Can you share everything, like your relationship and to him and everything, so everyone can hear, please?
Yeah. So Matthew is my little cousin, or was my little cousin. He was involved with, you know, a lot of people that did illicit activities. And from what I have gathered via the investigation and, you know, just word on the street, because it happened in a really small town, is it was a drug deal gone wrong. And the people who did it were friends with him since, you know, childhood. And they beat him and tortured him and shot him multiple times and then left him in his home for dead.
Yeah. And like, what's interesting, and I'm so sorry for that because that is like probably that's horrible. Like I can't really put words into it because it is a horrible act, but he keeps, and like I think what he was referencing to me before, and even before I even sat with you, you can ask the producers on here because like they kept everything from me. And I was like, the thing that's coming through, which is like the worst type of case, is when it's people that you are super close with and people that the family know too. It's not even so much that, and I think I may have said it during the reading, but it's hard. And I guess from my perspective, it's harder on the family or whoever when it's people that were in your home, people that like ate with you, people that, you considered maybe they're not family by blood, but they're family, right? Like they can walk into your home, because the way he was showing it to me was it was like that, like an open door policy, like in and out. And what he's also saying too before was kind of interesting as well, which is like I wanted to ask you about a little bit, with this is I think corruption, and I'm not saying there's corruption. I'm just saying like when you come from a small town, people know everyone, right? And that's kind of what he was showing to me is people cover for people. And he's saying that, and I may have like gently mentioned this, but it's an uphill battle that you and your family are going to have to face. And that's why he kept saying, which is funny, that they're messing with like the wrong family. Like not like your guys going to do anything like horrible. It's just you guys are really resilient with this. So like that's what I thought was, and I said like amazing. And I wanted to hear the update, what you were saying about someone confessed. And I think everyone would love to like just understand all of that process. And how long ago did it happen too?
So he was murdered 4 or 5 years ago, and it was very crazy. So my brother had also passed away recently. And on the day we were burying my brother, the guy who went to confess walked into the police station as we were putting my brother in the ground and said, "I need to confess. This is weighing on my heart." So that like automatically like,
yeah,
there's something there, And so he confessed.
100%.
It was a 4-hour confession. He gave a lot of explicit details to the case, but they ended up throwing the confession out due to insanity. They're saying he just wasn't in his right mind when he made the confession. But guilt will do that to you. And also, his dad was a state representative, so that I feel plays a really big hand in it as well.
My God. It's, what's crazy too, and I didn't even realize, and I'm so sorry, I was just so focused on him with this case. I didn't even look for your brother or any other family, and I'm so sorry. I could do that for you a different time. Like we'll exchange information and I'll do that for you 100%. But
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, it would be on me, like 100%. What he was also showing to me too is, which I sometimes I don't understand like what they're doing. I just like kind of say it because it's like maybe it'll click for someone else. But when he was showing me the 2 dates around his murder, like something significant, and I always related to birthdays and stuff. I'm like, why does he keep doing that? Now that makes more sense to me. And it just brings more validity to going back to that specific person to do something, because I always look for the validity and I always look for like the supporting facts of things that they bring up. And it's tough when you come from a small town. And where did this happen? What town, like what state, like, or just what state or city?
Cole Camp, Missouri, Benton County.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Because like I said, like when someone says open door policy, I'm typically going to go towards a small town. Just I'm from New York, and that's like, I don't know many places in New York that have like on Long Island or like the city where it's like an open door policy. Really, people always lock their doors and stuff. But, but I'm heartbroken for you guys. And it seems like your whole family, from my understanding, what we're going to come and like join and try to help out and everything. And I'm hoping that you guys take this and really like, I'm curious to see like what updates come, and I would love to have you and maybe your family come back on for the updates, because I feel like, and this is what I was seeing before too, is like there's going to be a lot of like supporting evidence to keep this like going. Like, I don't see this necessarily being a true unsolved, but what I am like nervous about was the uphill battles, what they were showing to me. And I guess it's because of people are connected to certain people, or the resources that the town has maybe aren't huge. And I'm just so thankful that you let me do this and share the story and try to bring awareness. And is there any email, any phone numbers people can call if there's like an anonymous tip that you guys have? Maybe you can, share. And
Benton County Sheriff's Office, Missouri Highway Patrol, they've done a lot of the investigation too.
which is interesting because he's saying to me that the place of where it occurred is also, he's saying, something that should have been looked into a little more, because he keeps talking about the location is what he's saying. Like the location of, I want to say where the he keeps showing to me, it's like where the operation took place. That's what he's talking about. Like, and what I mean by operation, I think you know what I mean by like the operation of things, of like,
Yeah.
because he's saying that place was also glossed over a little bit. Like it was a fairly quick gloss over. I'm sure they investigated it.
But not really.
Right. It's like a 50-50 thing. It's like they,
Yeah.
well, because he's showing to me, it's like they did gloss over it, but they didn't really use it. It doesn't seem like to their, like when I say advantage, like in statements, or like too much to like, follow up certain things. He's just saying, it just seems like it's an uphill battle for you guys. And I'm willing to help whenever you need my help. So like, you just reach out, and I'm more than happy to help. And I would love to have you back on. And like I said, we'll set up a reading so you could hear from your brother and your other family.
That would be awesome. I do have one question, and you may not be able to do this.
Sure.
Matt did leave behind two children, two young children, and his son is having a really, really hard time right now with everything, and he's really struggling. Could you maybe see if there's a message I could send from Matt to his son that could maybe help him through this?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, the first thing that he keeps showing to me is that keep talking to, he's saying he hears every time he talks to him. He hears it every single time. He also is smiling at the fact that I don't know if he wears Matt's stuff sometimes or goes towards Matt's stuff, because he's also showing to me too that Matt, like some of his stuff is like, and I know people sometimes will keep it and sometimes people will box it up immediately. I know people go in two different directions. He's saying that there's stuff that I guess his son Jackson always will kind of go towards. And he's also kind of showing to me too that just because he needs him to know, like he watches him every step. And listen, I played sports when I was a kid. I'm sure everyone did, right? Like we all played sports, like we all went outside and did stuff. But he's saying that he's proud of him for picking up. He needs him to continue to like pick up the sports stuff, because he's saying like he's talented at this stuff. And he's also, because I know I keep going back to this because he's just showing it to me. So there's a lot of his personal stuff I see still circulating around, I guess, their home. I guess like not everything is put away, honestly, because he keeps saying that his things from Jackson are always touched and always moved and always like held. And he sees and he's with him all the time. So please pass that along, that even though he's not physically here, obviously he's around them, but also he sees every time he touches his things, every time he talks to him, every time he plays with him, because it does look like he plays with his dad, but it also looks like at the same time when someone calls it out to him, or like calls out like, what are you doing? It kind of triggers, I see. Like it's like a triggering like feeling, I guess, when someone's like, oh, are you playing with dad or whatever? And because he's saying just to let him do it, because that he's actually playing with him. So please pass that along, that his dad is always with him. You have a great family. You have a great, great family.
Ooh, thank you.
No problem. And thank you for coming on. and being a part of this. And seriously, email me after this and we'll set everything up. And I would love to have you come back on maybe after you guys like look into certain things. And, because I'm sure people are going to be heavily invested in this because I am, and I'm, just meeting you, like I'm heavily invested in this. So please reach out. We would love to hear back from you and your family.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. We definitely needed this.
Sabrina, thank you so much for coming on the show. Guys, if you want to be helpful, and I think we can be, we are a community and we want to help people, please reach out to the Benton County, Missouri Sheriff's Office. That's where you can give any anonymous tips to help this case out. Also, please do not forget to follow, rate, and review the show. I also want to remind you guys that Sabrina was a listener and she reached out and we did this reading and I was able to help. Now, if you want to be that next person, all you have to do is follow my Instagram at JonathanMarkMedium, send a DM, or send an email to connectjonathanmark@gmail.com. All right, guys, I'll see you next week.